for programming, for the basic understanding of the problem solving, we need to understand it through structured English or pseudocodes. And VB.NET is much closer to pseudocode and structured English. So maybe from next week onward, we will also going to take help from Python as well. Okay, so VB.NET and pseudocode, we made this small, the conversion table. If you need to write down something in pseudocode in a form of declared price, you write it down in this form. Fatma, what do we call if we wanted to declare some variable or some data structure? We write declare in pseudocode. Okay, what do we write in VB.NET? If we wanted to output, display, show some message in pseudocode, we write down the command output in our message. What is the command in VB.NET? It's console.writeline. If we wanted to take input, this is the command, input and name of the variable. It goes another way around in VB.NET. The variable name, the equals to sign, and then console.readline. All right. So there may be some few more things which we will be using later on. So I'm just keeping this thing intact. There will be more commands. This is the reason I started our first program from here. Okay. So the very first thing that we learned was how to use a count control loop. Osama, in any programming language, most of the time I tell my students that if you will be able to understand loops, for loop, while and while, repeat until, these are the three kind of different kind of loops. If you know how to iterate certain instruction number of times, if you will going to know how to run or how to make some program run again and again, you know what does this looping or iteration or repetitions are. If you know how to use it, number one. Number two, if you will going to have an idea about how selection statements work, which I haven't mentioned yet, I will going to. So for programming languages, how loops or iteration works, how selection or condition works. So these are the basics of programming, any programming language. So if you know how to do that, it's like you already have covered like one or half of the programming. Because most of the students, they face difficulty at this part. How loops work, how selection statements work. Okay. So if you will going to have core understanding of these topics, rest of the programming will be easy. So we made the small program in which we message free Palestine. So, and we wanted to print this message 10 times. So we use this loop for, okay, the variable of for loop starting from the index 0 up till 9, and we ran this instruction 10 times. And we saw that the message free Palestine was printed on screen 10 times. Then we tried printing the series of numbers. We did that. You all remember this? The whole thing is also recorded. So I'm going to move on to the next topic. I'm going to still continue with the for next loop so you people can have a bit of a practice. The very first question, you can also write it down in your copy or maybe in your laptops. So I'm going to call it question number 2. Using count control loop, print a series given below. So let's try to print this series first on the screen. If this is a small screen, so we want numbers to be printed like this: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Do you get it? I just want even numbers to be printed on the screen using for next loop. And what is what is count control loop? What do we call count control loop? For next, right? So this is a series I wanted to be printed up till, let's suppose, 16. And then I just want another series to be printed. So this is another program in which we want numbers to be printed like this. 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. Up till 15, that's it. Yes, that's it. These are the series that we wanted to be printed. From 2 to 16. From 1 to 15. So how are we going to do that? Now let's write down the pseudocode. So we need to print this series 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, and 14. The starting position is 2, the ending position is 16. The starting position is 1, and the ending position is 15. Okay, so let's make a logic. We can use count control loop. The count control loop is basically what? It's for next loop. You already know about this. The count control loop is known as for next loop. Okay, so we need to print a series. Let's talk about even numbers. Even numbers. For I can use the variable for I assigned to 1 to 16. And I can do one thing. I can print, or I can write down output. In pseudocode, you can write down output, you can write down print, you can write down display, everything works. Output I. So we are printing the very variable that is being used for the for loop. And just before next, we will going to iterate the variable of for loop. There we go. Now this is a very small program. I just want you people to look at the projector screen first. I just want you to pay attention, and you can ask me as many questions as you like. People listen. How does a for loop works? Look, when we start the for loop, when we run this program, we know this the whole program runs line by line. In every programming language, all the programs run one line at a time. So when we start running the program, when we double click on it, the very first instruction, the loop has been started. The very first value 1 will be stored in this variable I. I is a variable. I'm going to show you what will going to happen behind the scene as well. So let's have a look. So as soon as you start running the program, the stored in the variable I, for loops variable. It indicates the very first iteration, the very first round. Okay. So for I1, we get inside the loop. This instruction will be executed. This instruction will going to do what? It will going to output whatever is inside the variable I. What is inside I? 1. So 1 will be displayed on the screen. After running this instruction, we run this instruction. What does it do? It adds 1 to whatever is inside the I, or whatever is inside this variable. So 1 plus 1 will become 2. I will be, we call it incremented. Incremented means if you add 1 to anything. Incremented. Decremented if you subtract 1 from anything. Okay. So I will become 1 plus 1 will become 2. I will going to update itself by adding 1 into it. Next round, what does next do? There is something special about next. Inside next, the variable of for loop automatically increments itself. Next itself add 1 to the variable of for loop. So this will become now what? Inside I, it's what? 2. So 2 plus 1 will become 3. So next, on next round, I has already been turned into 3. So after getting inside the loop again, this instruction will going to run again. So 3 will be printed on the screen. When we come here, right now inside I, it's 3. So 3 plus 1, it will become 4. And after running this, as soon as we will touch this next will going to increment whatever is inside I. So 4 plus 1, it will become 5. We go up. It becomes, it has become 5. So 5 will be printed. 5 plus 1, 6 plus 1, 7. Go output 7, 8, 9. Go up again. Print 9. 9 on the screen. 10, 11. And this is how this whole series will going to be printed on the screen. Up till, okay, what will going to happen to 16 then? Okay, let's suppose if I'm here right now, 13. So when it was 13 in I, 13 plus 1, 14, 14 plus 1, 15, we go up 15 because 15 is still less than 16. So we went in again. 15 is printed on the screen. 15 plus 1, 16, 16 plus 1, 17. Because 17 is larger than 16, we get outside the loop. So this is the reason that it will only going to print 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15. It will not going to print anything above 15. So this is how this loops work. I need to tell you one more thing. There is another tool that we need to learn. There is one another way. Write down the program. So we can write down something like this. For I 1, 2, 15. Yes, very good. For I 1, 2, 15. Step 2. Output I. And next, when you write down step 2, then inside I, instruction will going to work like this. If you will going to write down step 2, it's mean 2 will be added into for's variable, whatever the variable is. So here this program will going to run this way. In I, it's 1. 1 is printed. 1 plus 2 will become 3. We go up. 3 is printed. And when we push next, 3 plus 2 will become 5. You can do step 2. You can do step 3. You can do step 4 and anything. How come? So I've just like this is for the same. Now, this is question number 2. This is yeah. This is for 1. This is also for 1. Now let's make it for the even numbers. Pretty easy. For intentionally, I'm creating the name of the variable. Changing the name of the variable from 1 to, what was the ending number? The ending number was 15. Okay. From 1 to 15 will also going to work. Here 15 will also going to work. We need to print numbers in between 1 and 15, right? Let's do this. You can add 1 before. and then you can output. How about that? Let's see. We'll run for the last instruction as well. And inside this, we already know that there is something which is hidden, which is the increment of for loop that is like this. The blue thing. This is inside next. Y is equal to 1 to 15. This will going to print 1 plus 1. This will become 2. 2 is printed on the screen. 3, 3 plus 1 become 4. 4 is printed on the screen. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, 14 is printed on the screen. 14 plus 1, 15. 15. 16 was right. Yes, of course, obviously, you are correct. 16. So 15, 16, 16 is printed, 17, and then it will be out of this. Yeah. So 1, 2, 16. Or you can also do something like that for y 2 to 16, step to output y next. So this will still going to print even numbers on the screen. Okay. Beta, I will going to code the whole thing in VB.NET and in Python as well. Okay. So I'm going to start Visual Studio 2022. This is the community edition available over the Google with the Microsoft. It's free of cost. So create new project. When you will be creating a new project, Nahil, you have to choose the programming language from here. For example, initially, well, you will be doing something, it looks something like that. Shaf. So pick Visual Basic and pick console application. Okay. For the learning purposes, we will be using only this platform for now. So create new, and you will be having something like this. So everybody, this will be the platform. This will be the IDE. This will be the environment in which we will be coding. So I'm going to write down for y equals to 2 to 16. Instead of output, Fatma, what I should write down? Console.write line. And in console.write line, I can output what? I can output false variable, that is fine. Okay. Okay, intentionally, I'm missing out few information. People, if I'm going to write down this, what will be printed on the screen? Once the 16th tag? Okay. What will happen now? Okay. Now let me tell you about the magic statement. We wanted to print the odd numbers in between 1 and 15. Okay. So let's do this. Y equals to y plus 1. Here, what's your name? Awais. Awais, look, to learn any programming language, we need to, we know to how to interpret that language. Look, I'm going to run this program one line at a time. Slowly. The magic key in Visual Basic 22 is F11. Or if you have a laptop, you can use F and F11. Every time you hit F11, it will going to run one line of the code. So we're going to run the code line by line. I can, of course, run the code in one go like this and see the results. Can we see the odd numbers? But what happened behind the scene? Programmers are good with running the code one step at a time and see what changes are being made at every step. Sure? One line at a time. So my uh, control is now right now here. So if I go and hover and check what is inside y, it's 0. As soon as I run this instruction, I can see that inside y it's 1. So this is the first iteration. I can see the values of the variable as well. Right now in y, it's side 1. But we haven't run this instruction yet. So that's why on console we can see nothing. But as soon as we run this command of writing a line on console, write line, console dot write line. So if I'm going to write a line, what this one on console, I can see that. Look, there is one on the screen. Okay. So right now inside y, it's 1. So 1 plus 1 will become 2. As soon as I'm going to run this instruction, I can see that. Now y is 2. As soon as I'm going to run this next instruction and go up, I can see inside y, it's 3. Right now, I haven't run this instruction. So console.write line 3, console.write line 3, I can see the 3 is printed on the screen. Now 3 plus 1 will become 4. Next, we're going to add plus 1 to the y variable and y will become 5. So guys, when we will be running big programs, when there will be a lot of loops, a lot of selection statements, control is moving into what direction, what is happening at what level, you should be able to see by running the whole program one line at a time. So programmers are really good with this. Most of the time, even me, when I'm writing a code maybe of 200 lines, not a very big program, maybe 150 lines, maybe 50 line code. Sometimes I forgot, I see, oh, where's the error? Where's the problem? So when I run the program one line at a time, when I see the values are being changed, I can, oh, there's the problem. So for debugging purposes, for understanding how programming language work, to learn the programming language, you need to know how to debug the code one line at a time. Okay, so this is a small program. Now we really know if we write down, if we do not write down this, if we just write down this step 2, this will going to print the same output because next we're going to add 2. So this is the odd numbers. Okay. And if I started with 2, what will going to happen? 2 to 16. This will be even numbers. 2 will be printed. Next we're going to add plus 2 into for's variable. So 2, 4. 4 printed. 4 plus 2, 6. 6 printed, 6 plus 2. Let me just show it to you, one line at a time. Inside y right now 2. Okay, nothing. As soon as you run this instruction, 2 is on the screen. Next, we're going to add plus 2. Look, 4. Was it step 2? Okay, so it will going to print even numbers like this. Cool. Assalamu alaikum, man. Okay, people, now let me throw you with some conceptual bombs because I need to move a little bit fast. I have to tell you about a couple of the loops, how they can be worked alongside with the for loop. Are you people are ready? I'm then going to give you a break and then we will going to, do the whole programming all by ourselves, 1% at a time. Should we use precondition loop or post-condition loop for the same purposes? Okay. Y equals to y plus 1. This will going to do what? Print what numbers? Even numbers, odd numbers. I is 2. 2 is printed. 2 plus 1 become 3. Next we're going to add 1 again into that variable, becomes 4. We go up. 4 is printed. 4 plus 1 become 5. So try, whenever I'm asking you any question, try to run the code a little bit all by yourself. Okay. So instead of for next loop, let's try another. I'm just going to add some comments here. Let's call it, let's a count control loop. Let's run another series using precondition loop. People, if I wanted to do the same thing using precondition loop, if I wanted to print odd numbers or even numbers, or maybe if I just wanted to print a series of numbers, just a series of numbers, a very basic thing, a very simple piece of cake. Series of numbers one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, maybe using precondition. The main purpose of today's class is how these loops actually work. Precondition loop and post condition. What is precondition loop? What is the name of the precondition loop? How does it looks like? What is the architecture? It is while and while. While and while is the precondition because condition is checked beforehand. Repeat until is the post condition because condition is checked at at the end, at the last, post, after, in the last. So repeat until condition, post condition, while condition, and while. So while condition means precondition because we're checking condition before running the loop. We check the condition at the end of the loop, post condition. That's why we call while and while precondition loop. So just tell me quickly, my experienced people, Ubaid, Braza, Ubaid Khan, how we can write down the program to print a series of number from 1 till 9 using a while and while loop. Okay, while. Let's pick this variable while x less than equals to. I have to print a line. Less than is equal to 9. Okay, good. That's fine. What's next? Output. Output x. Okay. In for loop, we knew the starting position. We are starting from 1. We are starting from maybe 2. I don't know. From where we are starting here in while loop. What is the starting position of x? To initialize before the while loop, x is equal to 1. Okay, what's next? In end while, does end while also increment the variable? Okay, so end while, because we have used the variable that x, and x, so hence we were going to increment the same variable x assigned to x plus 1. Now this will not going to print even numbers or odd numbers. It will going to print a series of number because Shoaib inside end while we do not have something like this. We do not have any built-in feature like this that we have in the for loop. We don't have this thing inside of it. It's a conditional loop. We start with x1, while, just like the English language goes, while x less than is equal to 9. जब तक x 9 से छोटा है या बराबर है. Okay, so to run our code. X is 1 less than 9. Yes, we go inside the loop and we run. And the while loop, one another very important thing. Till this condition returns what? I'm asking you again. Look, x is 1 less than is equal to 9. This is true. Yes, we run the code. The while loop is if this condition keep returning the true. Let me just write it down this way. While loop runs at true. Exit at false. 1 is less than 9. 1 is printed on the screen. Osama, 1 plus 1 become 2. We go up again. Again, we check. 2 is less than 9. Yes, true. We again go inside the loop. 2 is printed. 3 is printed. 4 is printed. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's see what happens after 8. 8 plus 1 becomes 9. We go up. 9 is less than 9. No, but 9 is equals to 9. Yes, we again get inside the loop. 9 is printed. 9 plus 1 will become 10. We go up and check. 10 is less than 9. No. 10 is equals to 9. No. False, false. So because this condition is not retaining false, we'll get outside the loop. So this loop will run from 1 till 9. And now, just like Ubaid Raza was saying, you said you could have started x with 1 instead of equals to 9. You could have wrote x less than 10. Yes, it would have also worked. Correct. So you can print a series of number using a while loop. Similarly, people, we can do the same thing using post condition loop. X assigned to 0. Repeat. X assigned to x plus 1. X until x equals to 9. No, we have to write down 10. Because 9. No, I think this will going to work. Yes, it will going to. It will going to work. The important quotations is this. Repeat until runs at false. Exit at true. So these are the important concepts that we need to know. Okay, let's quickly try to code it. Instead of for next, okay, here we have to declare a variable as well. Tim, x as integer. Sharp. We have to declare x because now we are using this variable into a repetition and precondition and postcondition loop. So we have to declare the variable. For variable, for count control loop, you do not need to declare a variable, but for, okay, so x is equal to 1 while x less than equals to 9 console, because instead of output, we write down this console.writeLine x, and then x equals to x plus 1 and EndWhile. Should it work? It works. Okay. Instead of while and while, do, because in VB.NET we call repeat until, do loop until. And in Python, we do not have any post condition loop. That's the irony. This is the reason we need to learn both of the languages. So do output console.writeLine x equals to x plus 1 loop until, what is the condition? Loop until x equals to 9. Wait a minute. And wait a minute. Oh, console.write. Console.write line. नहीं, फर्क होना चाहिए। कंसोल डॉट राइट में लाइन चेंज नहीं होती, कंसोल डॉट राइट लाइन में लाइन चेंज होती है। सही है, सही है। If you people like it that way, we can do this. We can beautify it as well. We can just what we call is we can uh, format the string like this. बच्चों को पहले वो बेसिक चीजें तो सीखने दो, फिर अगली चीजें बताएंगे ना। You want numbers to be printed like this? Okay, that's good. It's up to you. Any case, people, so we have just learned how actually loops work. This is it. A while and while loop, the repeat until loop. If you want numbers to be printed in between 0 and 9, but you just only want odd numbers to be printed using this post condition loop, what should I do? Just tell me. If I want numbers to be printed in even, now why we are having this problem? But the problem is this, people, look, I'm going to run this code slowly and you people will going to have an idea. In X, it's 2. In X is 2. You can also should be able to watch the local variables. I should be able to show it to you, but somehow. Locals. Okay. All right. So right now inside X is 2. So we can also, instead of every time I need to hover my mouse over the variable, you can also see the variables here. So X is 2. 2 is printed. Ta-da. So it will keep looping until X will become 9. Until X is 9. X is 9. No, false. The repeat until loop runs on false condition. Go up. 2. 4 is printed. 6 is printed. Okay. 8 is printed. 8 plus 2 will become 10. 10 is printed. It will stop when X will become 9. But X will never become 9. So that's why this condition never comes true. And this is the reason it will keep looping forever and ever. Because it's waiting for variable X to be 9. So after 8, you made it 10. So you skip 9. Just like Microsoft skipped 9. After Windows 8, we have Windows 10. iPhone also skipped. Samsung Note was also skipped. After 7, we have Note. Series खत्म हो गई, Note series खत्म हो गई. Okay. So what I will going to do now, I will going to give you a quick fix. People, stay with me. I'm going to run the program in PyCharm. Okay, so we need to create a new file. Let's call it my first py. Okay. Okay. So Nahil, for X in range 0, 10, colon, print X. What will be printed on the screen? From 0 to 10. What will be printed on screen? 0 to 9. Thank you so much. Yes, correct answer. Because in Python, we always have values in between range 0 till 9. Okay. So how do you step here? If I wanted to print using step 2, you just put down comma 2. Now this is step 2. Okay. बिल्कुल -2 भी लिख सकते हैं, -2 स्टेप हो जाएगा. लेकिन how we use the conditional loop? x equals to 1 while x less than equals to 9. Print x x. We need to understand how to relate pseudocode with the flowcharts, with the structured English, and with the weaving. Okay. अच्छा ये मैंने x ऐसे ही खामखा थोड़ा स्टाइल भरम कराने के लिए लिख दिया, x is equal to x plus 1 भी लिख सकते हो. Or you can write something like this. सही है? All right. So x is equal to x plus 1. So this is the precondition loop.